Hello guys, welcome to a new video. And in previous video we already talked about the HSRP terminology excuse me, and how the active router, standby router, and preempt works. We also talk about the HSRP election, right? How the election is based on a priority value of 0 to 255, and the higher the priority, the better the chance of becoming the active router. We also talk about preempt. I believe it was the video before, and we also did a little brief. We also talk about the MAC address and how it works, and how the last two digits of the MAC address in HSRP is based on the group number. And now in this new video, we are going to talk about hello and hold timers and how that works. So it is basically the same as OSPF and HSRP and all those other routers. And the hello is like how often we send hello messages to the router, right? And this is, you send hello messages because you want to make sure that the other, either that there is a, when you send hello messages is because you want to keep the relationship going, right? So if I send the hello messages every 10 seconds, what's going to happen is that after 4 hello messages, which means 40 seconds, after 40 seconds I don't receive any hello messages back, I'm going to put you on hold, or I'm going to drop or end the relationship, because I'm going to assume that the router went offline, and that is when hold comes in. Okay, so the hold timer is how long to wait until we end the relationship, and assume that the router is down. And that's how that is how HSRP determines if a interface is down or not, is by hello messages, and in the end is the hold timer, right? And when that expires, then we assume that the interface is down, and then I become the active router. So that's how it switches from standby to active, is by sending hello messages, and then if the other router does not reply to me, then I become the active router. Also, it can only be configured from both. It can be configured from both routers, right? But the active router will be the only one. Used. Okay, so I'm going to show you how that works. If we go to GNS3, and you can use packet tracer in this activity, it will be the same thing. Just go ahead and configure an interface network like this. Configure HSRP like I did right here. Configure a loopback address so we can ping that loopback address. Okay, so let's go ahead to router 1. Let's go ahead and configure. What we're going to do from here, we're going to configure HSRP because I have not configured. Let's go to gigabit interface gigabit 01, which is this interface over here. And if we go to standby, we're going to configure. Let's configure group 5 in this video. And the IP address is 192.168.10.254. There we go. That is configured. And now let's go ahead to, well, let's just leave it like that. And when it becomes active in a couple seconds, because what it's doing right now, if you go in, show standby brief, or just standby, because when you do show standby, you can see a lot more. And as you can see right here, group number is 5. The MAC address now is AC05, because remember the last number is based on that group number, is its group number is 5, in hexadecimal is 05. Okay, and you can see that the hello timers is 3 seconds, and the hold timer is 10 seconds. Okay, so after 3 hello messages, if router if the other router does not reply to me, then I'm going to either, if I'm on standby, I'm going to become active. Sorry for that. So if after 3 hello messages, I do not get a reply, I'm going to assume that this interface is dead, and then the standby is going to become unknown. And it is unknown right now because we have not configured. Let's go ahead and configure over here so we can explain it a little bit better. Interface GNS3 standby. Remember the group number is 5 IP. And let's give it a couple seconds. If you go show standby brief for your standby, you can see that the standby router is on none. The hello timer is still over here is 3 seconds. It is the same as router 1 because the default is 3 and the hold time is 10. Okay, you can see now that we are the standby. Okay, there it is. So from here, let's just explain the hello and the hold time better. So since this one is the status of this one, where is the status in here? Local MAC address, preemption, disable. Okay, a standby router is local. That means that this router is locally on standby, and the active router is this IP address over here. So what happens is that I'm going to be sending hello messages right every 3 seconds. If after 3 hello messages I do not receive a reply from router 1, I'm going to assume that this interface is dead, and then I'm going to become the active router. Okay, so that's how it works. So let's go ahead and configure the hello timers. So you do standby, group 5, and then timers. And now you need to specify the hello in seconds. Okay, so from here, the timers, let's go ahead and change it to 5, and the other one is the hold time. We have to change it. It needs to be higher than, as you can tell right here, it needs to be higher than 5 no matter what. And as you can see, we can only pick from 6 seconds to 255 seconds. But when we did the hello, it was giving me from 1 to 254, not 255, because it cannot be the same as the whole time. Okay, it needs to be lower, and that's why it only give me until 254. And then when I said 5 for the hello, it was giving me from 6 to 255 because it needs to be higher than the hello timer, which is 5. But if we just go ahead and configure, if we do, let's do timers again, and let's do 7, right? And if I do a question mark, it's going to start on 8. So from 8 to 255. Okay, so let's go ahead and say, let's put it at 2 seconds, and then the next one is going to be 3 seconds for the hold timer, because again, the hold timer needs to be higher than the hello timer. So let's set this one up to 6. Okay, if we do end, show standby, as you can see over here, it did not change. The hello timer is still set to 3 seconds over here, even though we configure, as you can see right here, we configure to be 2 seconds, and the whole time is 10 seconds, but we configure to 6 seconds. So it is not taking what I'm telling it to do. Okay, and it's not taking it because only the active router is the one that can change that. And since router 1 is the active router, let's go ahead and configure over here so we can change that. GNS3 standby, group 5, timers, and let's change the timer to 4, and then we're going to say the whole timer to 12 seconds. Okay, and now if we do show a standby, now you can see that it did change from 4 seconds, right? 4 seconds, the hello timer, and the whole timer it was set to 12 seconds. And now if we go to this router 2 over here, if we do show standby, you can see that the hello time changed from 3 seconds to 4, even though we have this router to configure to be 2 seconds. Okay, and then the whole time changed to 12 seconds because that's how we set it up on router 1. And since router 1 is the active router, it is only going to take the values from the active router, and this one is configured to 6 seconds, but it's not going to take 6 seconds because router 2 is a standby router. Okay, so let's see what happens if router 2 then becomes the active router. Okay, let's see if it's going to take this configure value over here. So let's go ahead and shut down this interface. Let's see if, since this one is going down now, this one over here, now you can see that router 2 is now the active router. And as you can see, it took the value that we configured before. So it took that was configured before because we configured previously, and now since it went from standby to active, now since the active router is the one that configures the values, now it took that those values that we configured previously, but it did not change because it was on standby. Okay, and since it was on standby, it was not going to configure, but then after it became active, it took those values that we changed. Okay, and now if this one becomes, if we say now shut down, now router 1 is going to become the active router. Router 1 is going to become the standby router, and it's going to take the values that router 2 is giving it, because router 2 is now the new active router. You can see right here, standby. If we do a show standby, you can see that it took the values that were set by the active router, which is router 2. And you can see right here that this router is configured to have 4 seconds and 12 seconds for the whole timer. Okay, so this is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoy it, and if you guys do not follow me on Twitter, go ahead and follow me at CCNA Daily Tips. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.